I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay? If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose...
All of it has to be destroyed. This is a phone call that we got from Casey Stevens, our defense attorney for Mustafa. This defense attorney at the time asked us to pay him $55,000. Let me take that back. Originally, he asked us to pay $45,000 up front, he wanted. And he said that he was going to get this case dismissed before Mustafa has a bond hearing. And we'll get into exactly what he's talking about. Fast forward to this phone call. He says, if you release the file, they're coming after you. The police department is going to come after you. All of it has to be destroyed. In what world do you live that your defense attorney is asking you to destroy whatever you have, whatever file you have, whatever evidence that you have, destroy it. Get rid of it. If you release it on the internet, the police department is coming for you. Specifically, he's talking about Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is coming for you. And what is happening today? Fast forward to 2 years into Mustafa being in solitary confinement. They refuse to take him to trial. He's been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. The Commonwealth attorney, Amy Ashworth, is coming for me. And she wants to have me destroy all of it or go to jail. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Now, before we dive into this can of worm, we want to thank Michael Arguello. Michael, I hope I didn't butcher your last name. I want to thank you for being on the podcast last time. It was a beautiful podcast. It was beautiful how you asked me questions. And through those questions, we were able to tell Mustafa's story. Can't wait to have you on another podcast. I look forward to you being here. And you bring a lot of weight to the conversation. You're from Prince William County. Used to be in the military. Used to work for Homeland Security. And it's beautiful to have someone from Prince William County that's watching a case out of Prince William County that the media refused to cover anymore. I wonder why Julie Carey with NBC4 refused to cover the story anymore. Oh, that's right. The file is being leaked on the internet. Details of police reports being falsified. A dash camera that's cut and muted being released on the internet. Oh, that's right. The police department cut and mute this dash camera. I find it interesting that Julie Carey sits there and a prosecutor in court that screams to Judge Weimer, Your Honor, Mustafa's facial expression when he examined the dash camera that's in evidence.com, which is the police department portal, the file where the police department put Mustafa's file, dash camera. When you measure the frames, Mustafa's dash camera, there's a camera facing outward and there's a camera facing inward. This dash camera cuts off before impact. That's interesting. I've yet to see a dash camera that cuts before impact. And in the file, in evidence.com, the dash camera is records in 1 minute increments. And then just before it cuts off, there's only 8 seconds. Now, when you measure the dash camera facing outward, it's 8.3 seconds. When you measure the camera facing inward, it's 8.0. How does that happen unless someone manually cut this dash camera? And then Julie Carey on the news and the prosecutor in court says Mustafa's facial expressions. Mustafa's facial expression. You've cut the dash camera. You've cut this dash camera. The police department, this investigator actively, manually cut this dash camera. And they want to sit there and talk about Mustafa's facial expression. I find it interesting that this dash camera is cut and they sit there and talk about his expression. Now, even with the cut dash camera, what do you see? What facial expression do you see out of Mustafa? You see Mustafa panicking. His tongue is sticking out of his cheeks. His jaw is wide open. Then all of a sudden, the dash camera cuts off. And there are 17 frames missing from the camera facing inward. How convenient for the prosecution. How convenient for an investigator that falsified Mustafa's statements. Mustafa's statement is falsified on the police reports. Julie Carey on NBC4, the prosecutor inside the court, they say that Mustafa told this investigator that he was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. Wait a minute. Don't we have an audio of the conversation? Oh, that's right. We have an audio of the conversation that Mustafa never told this investigator that he was arguing inside the vehicle. This investigator, Investigator Robert Drum out of Prince William County, falsified Mustafa's statements. And he put that in the police reports. This is Mustafa's. This is Mustafa's facial expression. This is the 8 seconds before the dash camera cuts off. What do we see here? We see Mustafa's tongue sticking out of his cheeks. In panic. We see his jaw wide open. And mysteriously, the dash camera cuts off. This police department manually cut 17 frames out of the camera facing inward. I mean, it doesn't just happen. First of all, how did the dash camera cut off before impact? When you watch the dash camera that we put on the internet, you see Mustafa's hands. You see Dorothy, his girlfriend's hands, visible on this dash camera. The police department wants to tell you that the wire got cut off. How? You can see Mustafa's hands, so Mustafa didn't cut that wire. You see his girlfriend's hands, so his girlfriend didn't cut the wire. And this dash camera cuts off before the airbag deployed. So we know that the airbag didn't cut the wire. How did the wire cut on this dash camera? We have evidence that investigator Chad Mason cut the wire only to manually cut this dash camera and blame it on the wire. There are 17 frames missing from the camera facing inward. I mean, let's go with the narrative of the police department. Let's say that this dash camera cut because of the accident. Why are they not matching frames? Why is the camera facing outward and the camera facing inward sits on 2 different frames? Why is there 17 frames missing? Unless you manually cut the dash camera. This dash camera is connected to the same computer. If it stops recording facing outward is going to stop recording inward. You can't just have 17 frames just disappear unless you manually cut this dash camera. The police department tells this community and a prosecutor that screams in court that this dash camera does not have audio. That's interesting. This is a Rexon dash camera out of Best Buy. A Rexon is a well-known brand for dash cameras. If you were to buy a dash camera, you'll go to Best Buy, and the most expensive dash camera is the Rexon. It's like a $500 dash camera. Mustafa had it since 2018. Why does it not have audio? They tell us that this dash camera does not have audio. So they mute the audio. How do I know that? Well, when you open the file, there's a document that says Officer Zymus with Digital Forensic for Prince William County Police Department here in Virginia says the audio is there. They have the audio. I have a document that says they're in possession of the audio. But they want to tell the community, they want to scream in court, the prosecutor scream. Sarah Sammy screams in court, there's no audio. Well, that's interesting. Ma'am, Officer Zymus says he has the audio. She has the audio. Oh, that's right. This document is sealed from Mustafa. It's sealed from his defense attorney. Isn't this exculpatory evidence? So, why is the prosecution hiding exculpatory evidence? Isn't it illegal to hide exculpatory evidence? That you're in possession of the audio? It's been 2 years. Mustafa's been sitting in solitary confinement for over 2 years. Casey Stevens was his defense attorney. Blake Weiner was his defense attorney afterward. And now you have Brad Haywood. Why isn't Brad Haywood asking for the audio? I mean, Brad Haywood's been sitting on Mustafa's case for almost, 4 months? That's right. I believe it's 4 months. He's been Mustafa's defense attorney for over 4 months. Why hasn't he hired a expert to examine the SD card that the police department is in possession of? Especially when you open Mustafa's file and you find that Officer Zymus with Digital Forensic for Prince William County is in possession of the audio. I mean, there's literally a document that says that. We'll post that document. And the question is, the county gave this defense attorney $50,000. They gave him $50,000 to hire an expert and get to the bottom of this case. Why hasn't Brad Haywood hired an expert to examine the SD cards? Every time we ask Brad Haywood, he says, give me some time. Let me study this case. Well, sir, it's been over 4 months. Your client is sitting in solitary confinement for over 2 years now. Now, the community can be more aware of what goes on in Mustafa's case more than you, sir. The minute you hire an expert that's going to examine Mustafa's SD card, Mustafa's coming home. The prosecution says Mustafa was arguing inside the vehicle. They said Mustafa said he was arguing inside the vehicle. Well, sir, Brad Haywood, Mustafa has an audio that was recorded by his brother Muhammad that show Mustafa never said that. This investigator flat out falsified the police report. Brad, sir, I remember at the time I went to Internal Affairs. I sat down with them. I supplied them the audio. And First Sergeant Sean Shelton sat down with us. And he highlighted the falsified statement where this investigator said, Mustafa told me he was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. And First Sergeant Sean Shelton with Internal Affairs listened to that audio. I remember us getting a letter from Internal Affairs admitting that this investigator violated department's policy. Now, what's really interesting, sir, when you open the file, you see that Internal Affairs did conduct an internal affair investigation. And apparently, they gave the audio to the investigator that falsified the police report. And conveniently, he said, I couldn't hear the audio. That's interesting. Because when you listen to the audio, it's very clear. You can hear what Mustafa is saying. You can hear what the investigator is saying. As a matter of fact, I recorded my conversation with Internal Affairs. It's a 90-minute recording. I put it on YouTube. And you can hear me and First Sergeant Sean Shelton listen to this audio and literally highlight the falsifications. Why would Internal Affairs with Prince William County give the audio to this investigator to conveniently say, oh, I didn't hear the audio? It's literally in the supplement report. A supplement report, if this community doesn't know what a supplement report is, a supplement report, when you find falsification in a police report, that investigator, that police officer is supposed to put in a supplement report to fix that report. To this day, it's been 2 years. They have not fixed the falsification on that police report. They never fixed investigator Robert Drum falsified statements. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor in court, Sarah Sammy, screams what the investigator put on his police report. She tells the judge, Your Honor, Robert Drum said that Mustafa told him he was arguing inside the vehicle. There's an audio of the conversation that Mustafa never said that. Now, when you watch the dash camera, you see that there's no argument inside the vehicle. Oh, that's right. They muted the dash camera, cut 17 frames out of this dash camera, the camera facing inward, only to have an investigator that falsified Mustafa's statement so they can gaslight the conversation in court. Well, Brad Haywood, sir, you're the defense attorney, and we have a lot of conversations with you. We have a lot of questions for you, and this community is going to have a lot of questions for you. Your job is to hire an expert to download the audio off the SD cards. And not only the audio, sir. This investigator that falsified Mustafa's police report says that Mustafa was door dashing. And he can see it on Mustafa's dash camera. Now, the police department and evidence.com, Brad Haywood, sir, you have access to evidence.com. I have access to evidence.com. The Commonwealth attorney have access to evidence.com. Now that we're all on the same page, when you open evidence.com, you find out that the police department downloaded Mustafa's dash camera, but they left out 12:30. At 12:30, that's left out of the dash camera. Only after 12:30, they start uploading the dash camera. Now, what is interesting about 12:30? At 12:30, you see Dorothy getting into her van with the kids, and then all of a sudden, she decides to have Mustafa take her to the cemetery. It's her mama's anniversary, and she decides to have Mustafa take her to the cemetery. Now, you're the defense attorney, and that's exculpatory evidence being omitted from Mustafa's file. Should you not be upset that the prosecution is hiding exculpatory evidence from you? It's illegal to omit exculpatory evidence. Now, why is this relevant? It's relevant because the prosecution in court says that this is premeditated. that specifically Mustafa had planned this out. That on that day, Mustafa was angry at his girlfriend, angry at 5-year-old Empress. He forced them in the vehicle only to crash the vehicle on purpose. Now, the police department omit the 12:30 portion of the dash camera because once you put that in there, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy can no longer say this is premeditated. Because it's going to show that it was Dorothy's idea to go over to the cemetery that day. It's her mom's anniversary. I mean, she posted it on Instagram that it was a big day for her and she wanted to go to her mom's cemetery. Now you'll see at 12:35 where Dorothy, a picture began to paint itself, where the prosecution can no longer say this is premeditated. Shouldn't you be upset, sir, that they're hiding this exculpatory evidence from you? You've been on the case for over 4 months. Haven't you talked to Mustafa about that yet? You have not even brought that up. Why am I finding more about this case than you? I mean, don't we have access to the same police department website? Evidence.com is the police department website. You have access, I have access, and the Commonwealth Attorney have access. So number one, what we're asking you to do is hire an expert that's going to go in. You can put a subpoena that download the SD card and everything on the SD card. You're going to see the 12:35 where Dorothy is going into her van. You're going to download the audio. The officer Zymus says this dash camera, yes, it does have audio. And you're going to download where Mustafa is door dashing. Robert Drum on a police body cam says that Mustafa is door dashing. Now, the door dashing is very interesting. We'll come back to the door dashing and why that's relevant. Sir? But before we jump into door dashing, we're going to talk about the 12:30 and how once you download the 12:30, that the police department is specifically omitted from Mustafa's file. So Prosecutor Sarah Sammy can scream in court that this is premeditated, that Mustafa had planned this out. The forensic interview with Pharaoh is very revealing. I found it interesting that in court, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy doesn't want to talk about Pharaoh. Why does Prosecutor Sarah Sammy want to leave Pharaoh out of the equation? I have the video forensic interview from Pharaoh, where Pharaoh says that Mustafa was sleeping. Mom woke Mustafa up. He was tired. He didn't want to go anywhere. He had other plans. But mom asked Mustafa to take her to the cemetery. That there was an argument about Mustafa not wanting to go there that day. He didn't want to go anywhere. He had other plans. But finally, he said, okay, I'll take you. He's doing her a favor by taking her to her mom's cemetery. It's her mom's anniversary. See, once you look at Pharaoh's forensic interview, the prosecution theory began to fall apart. Because Prosecutor Sarah Sammy screams in court that this is premeditated. And I have the audio of the proceeding inside the court where the prosecutor's theory is that this was premeditated, that Mustafa was angry. Keep in mind what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is saying. She said Mustafa is angry at Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress. This is premeditated, so he planned this out. Wait a minute. This began to fall apart. The prosecutor says Mustafa was angry. This is premeditated. He forced Dorothy and 5-year-old Empress in the vehicle only to crash it later. Well, this begins to fall apart once you find out that at 12:30, Dorothy was going to use her van, was going to go in her van with the kids, it's literally on a dash camera. And then you watch the forensic interview with Dorothy's 10-year-old child. And he's talking about mom is the one that's forcing Mustafa to go. He didn't want to go anywhere. So how is this premeditated? The whole entire prosecution began to fall apart. Wait a minute. Don't we have a Google Nest from the apartment? We have days on days of video Google Nest that show, one, it's a beautiful relationship. And it's Dorothy is the one that's asking 5-year-old Empress to go. It was her idea. So now you have the Google Nest that show Dorothy is the one that wanted to go. You have a forensic interview that show Pharaoh, the 10-year-old child. He's talking about mom is the one that's waking Mustafa up. Mom is the one that's telling Mustafa to take her. And then now you have the dash camera that show at 12:30. They charged Mustafa with premeditated murder. Now let's take this back all the way to the beginning. But before we take it all the way to the beginning, let's come back to the door dashing. Why is it relevant for Brad Hayward, Mustafa's defense attorney, to download the SD card where it shows Mustafa's door dashing? According to Robert Drum on a police body cam, Robert Drum says, on a dash camera, Mustafa's door dashing. Now, that's interesting. The prosecutor in court wants to rely on children that are 9, 10, and 14. Children that we have evidence that have been weaponized by the police department. In a forensic interview, what am I talking about here? Let's backtrack a little bit. In a forensic interview that's sealed by Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth literally went to a judge to seal off the whole entire file. I wonder why, Commonwealth, that you sealed off this file. Now, I'm in possession of that file, and I'm releasing the whole entire file. In a forensic interview, the 14-year-old child, Javen, says, Mustafa did this on purpose. Mustafa ran away and left my 5-year-old baby sister in the vehicle. And if he hadn't ran away, the police, they could have saved her. Now, the child psychologist would ask Javen, how do you know that? He said, investigator told me. So you're talking about a situation where investigator is telling this child a scenario that didn't really happen. It's a lie. On a body cam, you see Mustafa unconscious in front of his vehicle. You see Mustafa in a coma. You see Mustafa being helicoptered to the hospital. So what is this investigator lying to this child? He's weaponizing this child. He's weaponizing these children against Mustafa. And then they put them in a forensic interview only to have them talk about Mustafa. They want to weaponize these children. The forensic interview, the reason that the Commonwealth attorney is terrified from the forensic interview, because the children are telling you on video that the police department weaponized them. Mustafa never ran away from the vehicle. Mustafa was in a coma. He was helicoptered to the hospital. But you have a police department, you have an investigator that's telling this child. And I find it really disturbing because the child in a forensic interview says, I always trusted Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. You watch the Google Nest, you see it's a beautiful relationship. You see that Mustafa is a father figure to this child. It's literally on a Google Nest. You don't have to take my word for it. Watch the Google Nest. I'm releasing the Google Nest videos on the internet. Only when this police department got involved, they weaponized this child. He says, I always trusted Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. But after what this investigator told me, that Mustafa ran away, left my 5-year-old baby sister. And they could have saved her if he didn't run away. I don't trust Mustafa. and he began to talk negatively about Mustafa. The police department weaponized this child. Now, in a forensic interview, this child is talking about Mustafa's driving. Clearly, they weaponized this child. And now this child just wants to tell you everything and anything negative about Mustafa. Now, I find it interesting that the prosecutor wants to use children's testimonies after they weaponize them about Mustafa's driving. How is Mustafa's driving? You're asking a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old how is Mustafa's driving? After there's clear evidence that the police department weaponized those children, when you have on the dash camera, investigator Robert Drum tell you, we have a dash camera where Mustafa's door dashing. You want to talk about Mustafa reckless driving? When you have Mustafa's door dashing on a dash camera that you're in possession of? Oh, that's right, but you're omitting the portion where he's door dashing. You don't put that in Mustafa's file. Isn't this exculpatory evidence that you're hiding from his defense? Shouldn't his defense attorney, Brad Haywood, sir, you're the defense attorney, shouldn't you be upset? And the first thing you would do is use that $50,000 that the county gave you to hire an independent expert to go in and download the SD card. You've been on this goddamn case for over 4 months. What have you done since? That's right, you paid Mustafa a couple of visits. You talked about Sam, the investigator, sitting down with Mustafa. But what the fuck have you done since? You have $50,000 that the county gave you. The first thing you should do is hire a goddamn expert that download the SD card. Because the minute that you download the SD card with the audio, with Mustafa door dashing, Mustafa's coming home. There's a dash camera that showed this is a vehicle accident. That Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Brad Haywood, are you listening, sir? We need you to hire a goddamn expert to download the SD card off his dash camera. That the police department, Officer Zyman says there's an audio. That on this dash camera, you see Mustafa's door dashing. Once you have that, the prosecutor can't scream in court that Mustafa is a reckless driver. Sitting there relying on children that we have evidence that is weaponized by the police department. I cannot wait for court. Once all the evidence is on the table. I love how you're talking to Blake Weiner. And you're using him as your number one person as a go-to person. Are you aware that defense attorney Blake Weiner, his previous defense attorney, wanted to rush Mustafa into trial without his evidence? I mean, what is our problem with Blake Weiner? Blake Weiner sat on the case for a whole entire year. And toward the end, toward December, Mustafa was set to trial. And he promised us that he was going to hire an independent expert to download the audio off the SD card, that the police department in their file say they're in possession of the audio on that SD card. That he was going to hire the expert to download Mustafa door dashing. That he was going to download the whole entire SD card. He didn't do that. But he wanted to rush Mustafa into trial without his evidence. Without the evidence that's going to bring Mustafa home, he would not put the Google Nest videos on the record. How are you going to take Mustafa to trial without his evidence? Where is Mustafa's vehicle inspection? Did they inspect Mustafa's vehicle? Did they inspect the other vehicle that the investigators say turned into Mustafa? He wanted to rush Mustafa into trial without any of his evidence. That's interesting. If I didn't know better, Blake Weiner is making backdoor deals with the prosecution. I mean, in what world do you take your client to trial without your evidence? And he's like, oh, it's good. I'm so confident that Mustafa's coming home. I don't need the evidence. You don't need that goddamn evidence. No, sir, you've been making backdoor deals with the prosecution. So, Brad, sir, don't rely on the previous defense attorney. Here's a question for you. I hear that you reached out to the previous defense attorney and got the file where Mustafa's vehicle was inspected. Don't we have a body cam where the previous attorney, Casey Stevens, and the investigator that falsified Mustafa's police report on a body cam coaching the individual that inspected Mustafa's vehicle? I remember at the time we paid $5,000 for that expert to inspect Mustafa's vehicle. The police department, investigator Robert Drum, never gave him the raw data out of the computer inside his vehicle. He gave him a PDF. And PDF, you can manipulate the data the way you want. You're going to sit there and rely on a PDF, not the raw data when you're inspecting a vehicle? We believe that that expert is tainted. On a body cam, they're sitting there coaching him. I have the body cam. We can all look at it together. We don't trust that expert anymore. As a matter of fact, why is it such a mystery that he never wrote a report? So you contact Blake Weiner. Blake Weiner got the file from the previous defense attorney that we have evidence that's been working with the prosecution. And now that's up in the air. No one wants to talk about it. Why wasn't the other vehicle, when Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, made it all the way to the 4th lane? We have a body cam that show investigator Robert Drum is talking about. He says Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, made it to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Why is the SUV not being inspected? Oh, that's right. Because you're going to find the turn angle of the SUV into Mustafa. Is that why no one wants to inspect that vehicle? Oh, that's right. She's a diplomat out of Ghana. Her husband is some dignitary. We're not supposed to talk about the SUV. Brad Haywood, sir, we need you to use that $50,000 that the county gave you to hire a new expert that will go out and inspect Mustafa's vehicle and inspect the SD card, inspect the other SUV, and have that expert get the raw data out of Mustafa's computer inside the vehicle and the other SUV instead of relying on PDFs. So before we move on to the next topic that we're going to talk about, Brad Haywood, sir, we need you to do a couple of things. Let's cut the bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit going on. You've been on this case for over 4 months. I mean, how long do you need to familiarize yourself with this case? Are you aware that I'm one button away from releasing the whole entire file on the internet? And this community is going to be more aware of the case than what you're telling us. Every time we seem to talk to you, you say, give me some time. I'm still studying the case. What do you need to study, sir? What do you need to study? A case, every police report is falsified. The computer inside the vehicle show that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. There are pictures of Mustafa's skid marks from the 2 calipers that worked. The investigator that falsified the police report, investigator Robert Drum and Chad Mason, are seen to look at this skid marks from the 2 calipers. And in court, Chad Mason says there are no skid marks. Robert Drum and the discovery right, there are no skid marks. There are no brake marks. But you clearly see brake marks. They took the pictures themselves. Robert Drum, on his Nikon camera, took pictures of Mustafa brake marks. Mustafa's vehicle has 2 calipers that worked. The other 2 calipers on a body cam by the police department. I have the body cam. I've released it. The police mechanic inspects Mustafa's vehicle and finds 2 calipers that did not work. That's on a body cam. There's brake failure. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. There are brake marks from the 2 calipers. We have that in the discovery. The vehicle dropped from 55 to 35. 55 is the speed limit. So we know Mustafa was not speeding. Did he hit the brake? His foot was on the brake the whole goddamn time. That's what the computer inside the vehicle showed. Is there brake failure? Yes, there's brake failure. The police mechanic on a police body cam that is sealed by the county that I stole it from her, I'm releasing on the internet. It's on the internet. Showed that there's brake failure. The vehicle would not stop. Mustafa managed to get the vehicle from 55 to 35. The vehicle would not stop. He couldn't get back into traffic. There's a vehicle blocking him. It's on a dash camera. You can clearly see that. When the vehicle did not stop, it ends up in oncoming traffic. The prosecutor screams in court that Mustafa jerked the vehicle into oncoming traffic. That is not true. When you watch the dash camera that's sealed by the county, you see that Mustafa's vehicle ends up in oncoming traffic when he runs out of road. Did he do everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident? Yes, his foot was on the goddamn brake the whole entire time. He tried to get back into traffic. There's a vehicle that blocks him. And then he ends up in oncoming traffic because there's brake failure and the vehicle would not stop. He went from 55 to 35. What did he do when he ended up in oncoming traffic? He avoided every vehicle and he makes it to the 4th lane. And the SUV turns into Mustafa. At the time, they charged Mustafa with DUI. DUI manslaughter. That's what they charged Mustafa with. Now, in Mustafa's file, you find out that Mustafa toxicology report show no alcohol and no drugs. Mustafa's toxicology show no alcohol and no drugs. So, how are they charging Mustafa with a DUI? They've held Mustafa. This accident happened on April 5th. All the way, Mustafa was arrested April 7. How did they arrest Mustafa? Mustafa lost his family inside of a vehicle accident. He did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. He was not speeding. He was not reckless. You can see that on the dash camera. The computer inside the vehicle showed that he was not speeding. The dash camera showed that he was not driving reckless. Every piece of evidence showed that he avoided a vehicle accident. So how did they arrest him? Oh, that's right. The investigator falsified Mustafa's statements. He said, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle. And then they charged Mustafa with a DUI manslaughter. Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. I have a toxicology report that show Mustafa no alcohol and no drugs. But they've falsely arrested Mustafa. So you're talking about from April all the way to October. What is unique about October? That all of a sudden, they dropped the DUI manslaughter and raised it. Commonwealth Amy Ashford raised it all the way to murder. Oh, that's right. We went to internal affairs. We went to internal affairs with the audio of the conversation between Mustafa and the investigator. And it's evidence that showed that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statement. Mustafa never said I was arguing inside the vehicle. And all of a sudden, there's an internal investigation. Within 5 days of First Sergeant Sean Shelton, sitting down with Sean Shelton, where he clearly tells us there's an audio of the conversation on YouTube, where he says, yep, these are falsified statements. This investigator falsified your police report. And then he calls the Commonwealth attorney, and he said, I notified her of the falsification on this police report. 5 days later, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth drops the DUI manslaughter and bumps it up to murder. I'll tell you what is going on here. Because when you open the file, they took the audio, gave it to the same investigator that falsified the police report, and his supplement report, literally his supplement report, where he was supposed to write another report where Mustafa never said that, and he's supposed to fix the lies that the investigator lied, and he's supposed to write another report where Mustafa never said that, never told him. It's on an audio that Mustafa never said, I was arguing with my girlfriend. This investigator literally just put that on his police report. He said, Mustafa told me he was arguing with his girlfriend. That's a lie. There's an audio. They took the audio, Internal Affairs, took the audio, gave it to the same investigator that falsified the police report, and conveniently, he says in his supplement report, I could not hear the audio. How convenient. What Internal Affairs, what this police department did, they called up the Commonwealth attorney. They looked at Mustafa's file and they said, Amy Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, you better do something because we're about to release this guy. We've held him here on falsified, it's the false arrest. I mean, we have his toxicology that show no alcohol, no drugs. We're holding this guy on a DUI. We're about to release this guy, so you better do something. They sent us a letter admitting that this investigator violated department's policy. I mean, this investigator is writing DUI in Mustafa's file. So he's disregarding the toxicology report that showed no alcohol, no drugs. And he's charging Mustafa with the DUI, manslaughter. Amy Ashworth gets a phone call from Internal Affairs. You better change these charges because we're about to release this guy. So what did she do? She drops the manslaughter charge, DUI manslaughter, and she bumps it up to murder. Retaliate against Mustafa. And her prosecutor in court says, this is premeditated. Premeditated? Wait a minute. When you put the evidence into the file, the evidence that the police department is omitting, you'll realize that it was Dorothy's idea that she wanted to go that day. I mean, literally, you take this dash camera, you download the whole entire thing, and you'll realize that the police department left out everything before 12:30. At 12:30, they began. After 12:30, they began downloading the files into Mustafa's file, the dash camera into Mustafa's file. But once you put the 12:30 in there, the prosecutor's theory began to fall apart. I mean, in court, she says this is premeditated. That on this day, Mustafa planned this out. That he was mad at Dorothy, mad at 5-year-old Empress. And on this day, he forced Dorothy, forced Empress, put them in a vehicle only to crash it later. But once you watch the dash camera, you'll realize that at 12:30, Dorothy is about to take her van to her mom's anniversary. That on the last minute, she changes her mind. The forensic interview show of Dorothy's child, 10-year-old child, where he's talking about mom is the one that woke Mustafa up. Mustafa was tired, didn't want to go anywhere, and she convinced him to take her. Now, wait a minute. If he's such a dangerous driver, if he's such a reckless driver, why is Dorothy asking him to take her to her mom's anniversary? Wait a minute. On a Google Nest, it showed that Dorothy is the one that asked 5-year-old Empress to go with her. Why is this mother putting her 5-year-old child in a vehicle of a reckless driver, of a dangerous driver? If they were arguing, why would she ask him to take her to her mom's anniversary and put her 5-year-old child in his vehicle? I mean, once you put all the evidence on the table, the prosecution theory began to fall apart. This is not premeditated. There is no argument. It's a beautiful relationship. You don't have to take my word for it. Look at the Google Nest videos that they're hiding for 2 years. They're terrified of the Google Nest videos because it shows that this is a beautiful relationship. Mustafa took on these children and he's a father figure in their life. You have to take my words for it. Look at the Google Nest videos of the day of the vehicle accident, the day before, the day before. There's videos inside the apartment. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, why are you so scared from the Google Nest videos? Why is your police department omitting exculpatory evidence? Oh, that's right. My conversation shouldn't really be with you. It should be with Mustafa's defense attorney, Brad Haywood. If you're going to take anything out of this podcast, sir, we need you to do a couple of things. We're going to have many more podcasts. Look, brother, everybody knows you're Mustafa's defense attorney. Evelyn Horton, a.k.a. Amy Hodson on a body cam. She wants to call herself Amy Hodson. Online, she wants to call herself Christine Warda7. She knows you're his defense attorney. So why are we not talking to you directly on this podcast? Every single person that I seem to talk to knows that you're his defense attorney. You've been on this case for over 4 months. More than enough time to familiarize yourself with this case. We have a great relationship with you. A beautiful relationship. Now let's keep it a beautiful relationship. Show Mustafa that you're really here for him. Show this family that you're really here for Mustafa. And what we need out of you, sir, now that we know the county gave you $50,000, we need you to hire an independent expert to download the audio off the SD card that the police department admit on a file in this discovery. They say, Officer Zymas admit that they have the audio. We need you to hire an expert to download the SD card, the audio, and everything on the SD card, where it shows Mustafa's door dashing, everything. We need that download into Mustafa's file. We need you to hire another independent expert, and instead of relying on the other expert that's tainted, we have a body cam where he's tainted. They're coaching him. It's tainted. We need you to hire an independent expert to inspect Mustafa's vehicle and the SUV that we have evidence that turned into Mustafa after he cleared all the way into the 4th lane. And we need you to go up to Judge Weimer and put the Google Nest videos on the record. Doesn't make sense to go into trial without the Google Nest videos on the record. What are you going to do? On the last minute, go through days on days of Google Nest videos? You have video evidence that show this is a beautiful relationship. It's going to contradict everything that the prosecutor is saying. We're going to have more podcasts. I look forward to talking to you, having more conversations with you. I look forward to talking to you directly and indirectly. What we're going to do going forward, we have a beautiful studio here. Beautiful studio. Dedicated for the podcast. What we're engaged in, what we're going to be engaged in is we're going to take all these equipments and we're going to do a couple of podcasts in front of the police department. And we're going to be specifically asking them, why is no one sitting down with us about the police misconduct that we're finding out of the file that I stole from them? That's right. I stole the file. I mean, Commonwealth Attorney, what are you going to do? Weaponize the police department against me? Are you going to put me in handcuffs for talking about my brother? I have the file and there's nothing you can do about it. God damn it, if you want to arrest me, you're going to have to arrest me on video. For this community to see, not only are you using police officer that falsified my brother police report, you're arresting the brother who's talking about his brother falsified police report. Is that what we're doing now? We'll find out. We're going to be doing a couple of podcasts in front of the police department to demand that we sit down with someone out of internal affairs to talk about the level of police misconduct that we're finding in Mustafa's file. So far, no one has reached out to us. We put in a complaint, nothing. But that's okay. we're going to talk to them directly or indirectly through the podcast in the parking lot. And this community is going to be watching what we're talking about. And you can no longer dismiss this conversation because I have the file. I have the evidence. I'm releasing the evidence. Told you I was going to release it. I've been talking about it for 2 years. But you called that a bluff. Well, here we go. We're going to be conducting multiple podcasts in front of the Department of Justice. We're going to be conducting multiple podcasts in front of the White House. And we're going to be calling on Trump to look into this case. Under his watch, right here in our backyard, you have an American citizen where he's not getting due process. All we're asking is due process. 2 years, over 2 years, Mustafa has not been in court. We're demanding that we take Mustafa to court. This prosecutor is so terrified that she refuses to put the evidence on the record and take Mustafa to court. Mustafa has been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. Solitary confinement. 2 years without a trial in Virginia. We have something called speedy trial within 6 months. Mustafa never waived his speedy trial. Why is he held in a county jail without trial? In solitary confinement. So we're going to be doing a couple of podcasts in front of the White House, and we're going to be calling on Trump to look into Mustafa's file. And right here in your backyard, sir, you have an American citizen without due process, sits in county jail with all the police report falsified. And I have the file. We ask you to look into it, sir. We're going to be doing a couple of podcasts there. I ask this community to keep us in your prayers. We ask you to keep us in your prayers. We're asking the community to be there for Mustafa. And Mustafa's phone call is $50 every 2-3 days. We're asking this community to be there. Mustafa's commissary in jail is expensive. Mustafa's legal defense is expensive. We ask the community to be there for Mustafa. Mustafa's legal fund is a Cash App. There is equipment that we need to upgrade this podcast. We ask this community to be there. Don't forget to share this podcast on your Facebook. Find us on your Facebook. If you type Not Another Boring Podcast, you're going to find us on Facebook. What I'll do, I'll add you to a group chat where you can talk to us directly. And if you're going to be in this group chat, I remind you, I'm going to put you to work. I'm going to ask you to email this senator, email this person, put 19 comments on a video, share the video to your Facebook. I'm going to put you to work. And if it's too much for you, I'll remove you out of the chat. No hard feeling. But if you're going to be there, I'm going to put you to work. Mustafa sits in solitary confinement. And there's a lot that we have to do for Mustafa. This is Mustafa's legal fund. It's literally a Cash App, Mustafa Legal Fund. Don't forget to share this podcast on your Facebook. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to put comments on it. Ask questions for the next podcasts. And you can support this channel directly. There's a button on there that you can put money toward this podcast so we can keep upgrading it. There's a lot of equipment that we need to get this to the next level. You can Cash App Mustafa's Legal Fund, or you can directly send money through the channel. On that note, thank you for being here. This is Not Another Boring Podcast. Mustafa through the police body cams. Judge Weimer under the microscope.